each other through it. Come on and see, good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke to a great group of gals in Plentywood, Montana. Huge shout out to the Sheridan, Roosevelt, and Daniels County Conservation Districts for inviting me to their awesome event. While I was there, I gave my Good Movement Draws Good Movement workshop, where we go through the Good Movement framework, which I think I've talked about here, but in case I haven't, the framework is self-awareness, social awareness, and communication. As part of that workshop, I have the participants do some exercises to grow in each of those areas. During the social awareness part of it, I have them do an exercise in validating people at their table. So listening to the person and then making validating statements. And after that exercise, I asked the gals how it felt. And one of them raised her hand and she confessed. That was hard. I asked her what felt hard about it. And she replied, listening without offering advice or trying to fix it. And isn't that how it often goes when we see someone struggling, hurting, grieving? We want so badly to help them, but often we don't know exactly what to do. Good news. We are going to talk about what I have found to be one of the best ways to help people who are struggling, hurting, grieving. But before we dive into that, if you've been thinking about diving deeper than just this cast pod into your inner work, you can schedule a free 30-minute call with me where we can connect face-to-face via Zoom and talk about what that might look like for you. Visit the link in the show notes and mention CastPod when you schedule to get 10% off one-on-one good movement guidance. So, when my dad died, people brought food and gifts and monetary donations. They sent flowers and plants and keepsakes that hang on the wall. People texted and called and said all the things. And I am telling you that one of the very most helpful things that anyone said or did for me during that time was walk up to me at a branding after I'd returned to regularly scheduled living and say, I don't have words, but I do have a hug. And they proceeded to wrap me up in a big, warm, silent hug. And that was so incredibly helpful in that moment because it happened to be like my first day back. And I was at a branding, lots of people, lots of commotion. And I just needed that silent hug, no words. And our tendency, though, as humans, especially when we see another human hurting, is to try and ease the pain. And sometimes we do that by saying things like, everything happens for a reason. At least it wasn't worse. But look at all you have to be grateful for. And my favorite, and by favorite, I mean not at all favorite, after my dad passed, was someone said to me, well, you know what they say, only the good die young. These comments, with the exception of maybe the last one, might seem helpful or at the very least harmless, but frankly, they're diminishing. and dismissive of what that person is experiencing. In reality, one of the most helpful things we can do for someone who's grieving or going through some things is listen without judgment, assumptions, or solutions. It's not always the words, gifts, gestures that are the most helpful. While those things are great, they're so nice and can be really helpful, more often than not, the very most helpful thing is silent, reassuring presence. It's sitting and bearing witness to another's pain without trying to change it. I came across this book on a recommendation when I was in, actually, it was a signed reading when I was in Suzanne Stibiel's Enneagram cohort. And it's Let Your Life Speak by Parker J. Palmer. And I have read and or listened to this book no less than 3 times in the last 4 years. And it's a really short book and an easy read, but it's so incredibly good. And there's one part where Parker is talking about a period of time where he was very depressed and people would come to see him. And he says this line that I just think is so profound and powerful. He says, "One of the hardest things we must do sometimes is to be present to another's pain without trying to fix it, to simply stand respectfully at the edge of that person's mystery and misery." And he goes on in this chapter talking about how oftentimes when we are sitting with someone in their pain and grief, we feel useless and powerless. And sometimes, this is me adding, we maybe take on or feel those feelings of the other person so deeply that we want really badly to try to fix those things. And in an effort to avoid those feelings of powerless, uselessness, and maybe, that deep, deep empathy and feeling the other person's feelings, we give advice, which helps us, but maybe isn't helpful to the person that we're sitting with. And if they take our advice, it might go well, but it might not go well. And so, again, one of the most helpful things we can do is sit and bear witness to the pain. Listen without judgment, without assumptions, without solutions. We can mirror. Parker goes on to talk about a friend who would come visit him and check in on him frequently during that period of time. And he would just sit with him and mirror back to him what he was seeing in Parker, in his friend. He would say things like, "You look lighter today," and notice those things. And that's a form of validation, right? And being validated and feeling seen and heard and cared for is so incredibly powerful and helpful to someone who is going through some stuff. And when I say going through some stuff, it can be, a loss, a death. It can be something life altering like that, or it can be something small. Because the other thing is, we don't get to decide the magnitude of hard someone is experiencing. That's unique to the individual. Our hard is different than another person's hard. And so that's another reason that it's so beneficial to sit with someone so you can hear them speak and maybe see things from a different perspective, learn their perspective. And also, I think that it's not just sitting and bearing witness to other people's pain that's helpful, but also bearing witness to our own pain. How often do we feel pain, sadness, grief, anger, and we get busy with work, or we turn on a podcast instead of driving in silence, or we pick up a book or scroll our phones or. We will do anything except sit in that silence and presence and bear witness to our own pain. And that it's pain. So it's going to hurt to sit there with it. And when we see it, acknowledge it, there's light. And maybe it's not as painful for as long as when we try to cover it up and shove it down. So my challenge to you is to sit with someone, hear their story, ask honest questions, listen without judgment, assumption, solutions. Don't give any advice at all unless they explicitly ask for it. Then it's okay. But just listen and really hear somebody and see what happens. And with that, until next time, draw good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.